right, y'all, what's up? So I'm still figuring this out with lighting and whatnot. So forgive me. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get started with none other than I had a Wanda Vision of love, and it was more than you giving to me. My God, y'all. So we're about to get started. Give me a second though. Still trying to figure this thing out. So I am your host, Rhayne Coleman, of this episode and this show. So I do appreciate you all joining me again. Trying to do this every Friday on the 6:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern time. Yeah, so y'all gonna have to forgive me, man. I'm messing up with the lighting. So, WandaVision episode 4, entitled "We Interrupt This Program," which is appropriately titled. Yeah, man, this was an interesting episode. When you're listening to this episode or when you're watching live or whatever, use that hashtag IHAWVOL pod. Again, that is an extremely long hashtag for an extremely ridiculous show. Before getting into any spoiler, non-spoiler, anything, I want to speak to folks who were like, "Oh, this is trash. This is stupid. I don't like this." Like, bruh, this episode is the episode that should have showed you that this is what what it was all for. So it kind of felt like to me a small, shorter end game, the way that it was presented to us, and it made those first 3 episodes actually feel worth it. I know I saw someone mention online how they wish that this episode had came first, but I'm like, if this had came first, it probably would have hit the same for some, but that build up of those first 3 episodes and then getting this one, man, standing again. So, non-spoiler thoughts. I like that this episode we get a lot of Monica. And I feel like if you've seen the trailer or the little preview teaser, that's not a spoiler. You know, we get Monica and we get Jimmy Woo. I love that. I like the way in which we spent time in Westview. I appreciated the scripting, tying in a lot of different, I want to say loose ends, because we're still at the beginning of the episode of the show, of the series, but I'll say they tied in a lot of, I feel like this episode did what everyone else on YouTube and podcasting, on social media, fans have been doing, trying to connect the dots. And they did it in a way that felt like, you know, they knew what they were doing from the beginning. Some of the stuff I think I guessed, I'm sure a lot of us did. Some stuff I know I was like, what the hell is that? Marvel has done a really good job at laying some Easter eggs. So if you've been consuming the WandaVision marketing, you're in there with the rest of us. Like, I like that. I like when shows and properties do that, where, like, well, Beyonce did this with Self-Titled on Instagram for, like, was it nearly a year? She was just like posting videos and images. And then when Self-Titled dropped and it was a visual album, then you saw all the Easter eggs she left for us for like the whole year. So I don't know. I'm excited for that. What else? Non-spoiler related. I like the way this episode felt. This episode, I think, because we've gotten 3 in-world sitcom episodes, it has trained us to feel a certain way or to expect certain things when watching the show. So when we got the real-time, real world, so to speak, it felt that much more satisfying. And just the feel, I'll go with that. The way it felt I enjoyed that because when the show ended, I felt as if there was like 30 more minutes left. Like it left me wanting more, which that's what you want to do. But I felt like, oh shit, this is it. No, we're where's the rest of the episode? I want more. And it wasn't in a bad way, like, oh, you done messed up. This is boring. Like this was a really good ending. It was really fast paced. We got a lot of backstory. They really did what had to be done for this episode. Jimmy Woo and Monica Rambeau, amazing. I can't wait to see more of them. Daphne, I don't know if I don't remember really caring too much for her in the Thor films. I didn't have anything against her, but at that time I was watching Two Broke Girls. So to me, she's playing the same exact character, which depending on what you look at, it could be good, could be bad, but I think she's consistent, and I like that about her. I like the snarky, smart mouth of it all. That's cool, but I'm not a stan, but I do like her. I like her character. What else? I like the world that we're developing. I like that phases that came before. Of course, they matter because it's all the same universe, but what's been done with the Netflix shows, I guess you can't really compare the two because this is a direct descendant of Avengers movies. But there is that concern that something could go and not, specifically with Wanda and with the way they're presenting the show, some stuff might not matter. Like this feels like a good show where you could retcon some stuff, add in some stuff, alter some things. Hell, we got Vision walking around like we didn't see in Game and Infinity War. Dang, I'm trying to think what other non-spoiler stuff. I'm so excited to get to the actual going-ons of the episode. What else non-spoiler related? I liked Wanda. I like Elizabeth Olsen. Again, I said she's doing a really good job at portraying Wanda Django Maximoff. I think she's doing an exceptional job, and I want to see more of her. This show is a horror show. Like this is really truly like, or a psychological thriller or whatever. Like this is not your friendly neighborhood sitcom fun times. This ain't it. This episode really showed that. I don't have the words for it, but if someone else out there does, please use the comments, comment it, or hit me up on Twitter, CarefreeBlackNerd. This show has, these first 4 episodes have been satisfying. I'll say that. In short, first 4 episodes, satisfying. I honestly have been having a good time with it. Now, if we're going to spoiler thoughts. So in the episode, we get the best opening, the best cold open I can say that we've had so far, which is directly coming right into the snap. Now, this, I imagine, is Tony Stark's snap, the last one, where now everybody is back. Wanda, no, my bad. I'm so quick to talk about Wanda. So Monica rematerializes, and she's in a room, and you hear people talking. Turns out she's in a hospital room. She runs out, freaking out. The bed next to her is empty. All these other people are rematerializing. It's chaos all over the place. It felt like an episode of ER. So she's asking about this patient. Where is she? What's going on? Where is she? What's going on? I was just here. And then a doctor comes up to her and she says, well, Monica, I don't know what the hell's going on, but ma'am, she's gone. That homegirl is out of here. She died 3 years ago, and that was 2 years after you. And she's like, after I what? We all know, if you've seen any Marvel movie in the last 2 years, we all know what's going on. This is everyone coming back after the snap. I like that. I like that. It was concise. It was to the point. We saw the chaos. We know what's going on. Then we switch over to SWORD, the Sentient Weapons Observation Response Division. Yes. So we get SWORD. And again, I am a fan of Marvel comics. I'm just not as familiar with a lot of aspects of Marvel than I am with like the mutants. Again, I grew up on the Mutants. Sword, I have seen a few times in the comics that I can remember. Same thing with AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics. And the fact that I'm not as familiar makes me feel good because now I can go into this learning from other people. So if you do know a bit more about Sword and about AIM and about all these other offshoots, hit me up. Twitter, CarefreeBlackNerd, use that hashtag iHAWVOL pod. But I like that we get this new organization and we've gotten this in the comics, so it's not completely made up. And we find out that Maria Rambeau, who we've seen in Captain Marvel, helped build this place from the ground up, which I'm like, the fact that they have her dead really is upsetting me and my homegirl and my ancestors, because if she's done all of this, I want to see that. Like, do we have to get another prequel movie or show where we then bring in and show her and Nick Fury and everybody else building up whatever? I want to see how she built. How do we get to this point? But she has a big Employee of the Month plaque on the wall. We walk past that. We have some guy, and I didn't write his name down, forgive me. Older white guy who's like, man, your mom was a hell of a guy. She was amazing. And so she's grounded. He grounds Maria. Monica, excuse me. He grounds Monica. She wants to get back into action. So what I gather from these interactions is that she spent time in space. She was, an astronaut for all intents and purposes. And he's like, man, no, I do like that we're addressing other aspects of the universe, addressing the snap, where it could be easy to be like, oh yeah, hey, you're back. Come on, suit up. Let's go. Let's do whatever. Of course, we're watching a show, so everything is focused on her getting to Westview. But I do like the idea that, like he told Monica, your mom put these protocols in place so that people who may return from the snap, y'all can't just jump out in the field like you used to. We don't know what's going on with y'all physiology. We don't know what's going on with you mentally. Y'all are essentially, you could be the very weapon that we are here to observe. And I really wish that could have been Maria telling Monica, hey, you're my daughter. I love you. You're back, but you can't just jump headfirst into this fight. I'm going to take a step back and relax and feel confident that the Marvel Universe has a bigger plan, but man, they've had some missteps before, and I really would like to have seen Maria in that role, in that suit, sitting there with that, what's that haircut she had, that bowl cut, that 90s cut. I would like to see her sitting up like, look, baby, you my daughter, but this ain't for you right now. So all that happens, she gets sent to New Jersey. I don't know the significance of New Jersey, or even if there is one with Wanda in the comics. If you do know, please let me know. But she goes to New Jersey. That's where Westview is. And she meets Jimmy Woo. Shout out to him. Jimmy Woo, they have this interaction with the local law enforcement, which is so weird. And this is why I say this show is very creepy. It's like a psychological thriller, or so whatever I really don't know what place to put it in for right now. But they talk to these men, and they're standing 5 feet away from a gigantic Westview. Welcome to Westview, New Jersey, population 3,000, such as this sign on the side of the road is probably the size of a car. And they're like, sir, where's Westview? He's like, man, that place don't exist. It's like, okay, well, Westview, New Jersey does not exist. He's like, nah, man. They say, okay, well, sir, where are you from? He says, I'm from Eastview. And they drive off. And it's, again, for this episode to be as short as it is, or all of them really, we get a lot packed into these episodes. And that's something that I enjoy about like anime, about British television. You can watch a 1-hour episode of like a UK show and feel like you've watched 3 or 4 episodes, like a whole arc almost. And that's how this felt to me. This episode in particular, because there's so much happening, there's so many people being introduced. And so after this, we get to this van. No, we don't. We get Monica pulling out the helicopter, which is a drone. She it's a remote control. She uses it, she flies it, it disappears. And this, of course, is the drone that Wanda saw in episode 2, I believe. 1 or 2, episode 2, yes, because she had the little red piece on. So that's where we enter the real world, is in episode 2. And I like these small connections that are being made in this episode that explains a lot of things that happen in the first 3. And that, to me, it feels like Leverage. That's another show that I absolutely love. As corny, campy as it may be, I love Leverage. You get a problem, we solve it, and then at the last 2 minutes we figure out how we solved it. And that's what this felt like to me. So that happened. Now, with Monica and Jimmy, first of all, representation. Come on, Asian and Black, I see you. We get her walking up to the force field, getting sucked in, and then we go to Darcy. Now, this is another part I like. I just like this friggin' show, y'all, and I hate to sound like a stan, but that's what it is. We get these 4 people in the back of a van, one of them being Darcy, and they're going to some undisclosed location. It is the Westview camp, I'll say, the space around Westview that has been populated now by SWORD and FBI agents. And Darcy, she's comical, making snarky remarks, but through her, we get what I thought was the truth anyways, is at the end of the first 2 episodes, the first one, you see these white hands that are women hands with a black, long sleeve black shirt. I don't know if you didn't think that was Darcy, but that's where my head went immediately. She's very pale, and she was in the cast list, so there's no magical anything. It wasn't like I didn't deduce this from these amazing feats of logic. No, I just saw she was in the cast list, and I remember the way she looked from Thor. But I do like that we get this kind of detective work, I'll say. You know, she's figuring shit out. She is a woman in science. She's dealing with the powers that be, the FBI, who want to give just enough information, but not enough to get you the full picture. And she ends up being the person who gives us the full picture by bringing in, or having the FBI bring in, one of those old box televisions. Now, this is another part of the show that I thoroughly enjoyed. Through getting these little box televisions, the FBI starts to build them on top of each other, and we're pretty much getting the promotional material that we've gotten in the TV posters. It's like movie poster style posters that Marvel has been posting. So I enjoyed that. The time and energy that's going into this show, paying attention to the smallest of details, that's what I've enjoyed a lot. So getting into the characters, Jimmy Woo, this is his first episode in the series. I like him, but he feels like comic relief almost. Like, I feel like his role is important, but the way that he's presented, it feels like this is just for the laughs. Like, oh, he's silly, or I don't know. He is the one thing personality wise that kind of pulled me out of the show, and not even by much. It wasn't like, oh, this can't be happening, this ain't real. It wasn't very extreme. It was just like, I don't know, man. He seems a bit odd. I like having him there. I'm interested because I've seen some of the stills from what'll be clips from future episodes, so I know there'll be more. I'm now invested in him because he is the person who was speaking to Wanda through these radios. Now, where I guess I thought could have been Steve Rogers, I thought it could have been I don't know, maybe some multiverse layover where Tony Stark is alive. I thought it was someone who was an Avenger, but knowing that it was him, that made me a little bit more invested, because now, of course, we'll have to see more of him. I like that having this in the real world, or the real world in Marvel, against those first 3 episodes, kind of give us these ties of, this is what we're doing, this is how it's affected. And again, within 22 minutes or so, or less, give or take, we've gotten everything that's happened over the last couple episodes. We've gotten the agent who put on the kind of hazmat suit and try to enter Westview through the sewer. And I think the vast the size of Westview lends itself to the power that Wanda has. The fact that this man is sneaking in underground and still is no match for Wanda subconsciously. She's not even putting up a physical fight. The fact that Monica got pulled into Westview and instantly became a character in Westview. The fact that this town that they say is a population of 3,000 plus people are now assumably under her control. And I haven't seen 3,000 people, and it makes me think, like, is this more or less because in sitcoms you didn't really have a whole bunch of extras? Because the police officers that we see at the sign next to Westview, we don't see them inside the show. Like, we haven't seen them in episodes 1 through 3 at all. The people who we have seen have been reoccurring. We've seen Herb, we've seen Agatha or Agnes, we've seen I believe he's an Indian guy who works with Vision. Like, we've seen a very small, tight-knit group of people. And I wonder if that, again, is because of the sitcom, or maybe these people are dead. And I say that because the conversation that Vision had with Herb and Agnes last episode, where he being Herb, couldn't finish his sentence. Geraldine came here because we dead. Like, are they dead? Are these corpses that are reanimated? And if that's the case, though that is sick and horrifying, where is Pietro? That's who I'm waiting for. So, watching this episode, to kind of cut to the point, we see everything that happened that we didn't originally see in episode 3. When we cut to Vision outside talking, and then we come back and Monica's gone, we got that whole scene, which is pretty much Wanda's like, hey, who the hell are you? Why are you in my house? You are a threat. Get out. And she sends her packing. Fine. What I want from this series, honestly, is to have Wanda to have her cake and eat it, to let her have her family. We find out that Vision is actually dead. There's a brief couple seconds where Wanda, I feel like, may have become overwhelmed, where she still is, what I assume, animating Vision, giving him life, letting him live, but visually he looks like a corpse, and not in the way that, like, humans are dead. He looks like a robot that's just devoid of color. And it happens so quick. And I even saw the spoiler earlier today. And when I saw it, I wasn't expecting it. It still was like, oh shit, what the fuck is that? So it happened. And Wanda then course corrected everything. And so he was back to normal. They grab up the twins, Billy and Tommy, and they sit down and watch TV. And that's the end of the episode. What I would like to see is Wanda and Vision and Tommy and Billy together as a unit, resurrect Pietro, and have them be this family. Because that's one thing that we haven't gotten in the MCU, is a family in the way that we have the Fantastic Four being a family. Now, there have been relationships here and there, sure, but we haven't had a family, and that's what I want. I'm a stand for Wanda, Pietro, Lorna Dane, Eric, Magnus, Billy, and Tommy, which now everyone is saying that the real villain of this series is probably Mephisto, which it's been on the grapevine, it's been going around, and with the presence of Tommy and Billy, that makes a lot of sense. So Tommy and Billy were first introduced in Vision and Wanda, their comic back in 1986, and it was in, I believe, volume 2, issue 12. And in this issue, Wanda wanted a family for them, so she did just what she did here on the show. She created 2 twin boys. Well, apparently she wasn't strong enough to create them wholly. Like, it was more like a shell of babies. In order for them to live and to have souls, she unknowingly pulled fragments of the soul of the demon Mephisto, which is like, damn, Wanda, what's going on? Like, not that it would have been better, but could you not have, like, taken the souls of, I don't know, a mailman? I don't have anything against mailmen, but The demon Mephisto, I don't know. So she does that. That's unfortunate. So she didn't know this. And later on, Mephisto comes back to reclaim what's his, fragments of his soul. In doing this, he wiped the two kids from existence. After that happens, Wanda went down. She was down bad, y'all. Upset, sad, angry. Of course, your kids are gone now. Now, the grieving process was so intense for her that she then asked Agatha or Agnes to erase the memory of the children from her mind so that she wouldn't have to grieve. And it's like, Wanda has been through a hell of a lot, man. And I just, the loss and every iteration of this character, it's always something terrible. I just feel like I want her to have this win. I don't know if it's because I just want to see it, but let her have her kids. So with that being said, I would like to, if you guys give me your predictions, like with everything I've said and everything you've gathered over the internet, do you think that Mephisto is coming back for them babies? And I feel like he is, because what was there, the clip where her and Vision are like in the early 2000s or the late 2000s, and they're at Halloween and flying and fighting and stuff. That's a lot more work than we've seen them put into in the first couple episodes. I want them to fight Mephisto, have a knockdown, drag out fight for the souls of her children. That is a great way to end this series. Do that. Add Captain Marvel, well, Monica Rambeau, into this mess too. Let's get it. So if y'all have any predictions, let me know. Let me see. So for this episode, who was a favorite character? I would have to say really Monica. Honestly and truthfully, Monica. Miss Paris put in the work. She did what needed to be done. She acted her ass off. I enjoyed seeing her on screen. Second to her would probably be Daphne. I know I said she wasn't a favorite, but with the performance she put in, again, she feels consistent to me from I feel like if you watch Thor, every Thor film that she was in, and then you watch this episode of WandaVision, you're going to get a consistent character who's been the same throughout. I like her. Tell me, who are some of y'all favorite characters? I mean, and it could be Wanda, it could be Vision, it could be Dead Vision, it could be Billy and Tommy. Let me know who's the favorite for you. For me, I have to go with Monica for this episode at least. So good job on her. Let me see. John, what's up, John? Ooh, okay. So yeah, favorite scene. Now this right here, really the whole episode. If we can count from opening credits to ending credits, then that's my favorite scene. But if I'm going to scale it down to just one, I would have to say the scene that we didn't see in episode 3, when we saw. Though I didn't like seeing Monica get thrown out of Westview, I did enjoy getting the events that happened between that shift there. And I also like that a lot of the materials that we've seen as far as marketing things and video clips and whatnot from Marvel have not been true. Now let me explain that. What we've gotten is a lot of posters and we've gotten video clips. And there's one in particular that comes to mind that would have been in the 3rd episode in the 70s, where Wanda opens the door. Geraldine says some little jazzy line set from the 70s. And she says, "Who are you?" And then there's a glitch. And she's like, "I don't know." We never got that scene. So when I watched the last episode, I was like, okay, maybe it's just stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor. There's also a scene of Wanda in the 70s, and you're seeing her through 4 or 5 layers of walls, and you see her doing her little hex magic and then pulling the walls back together. We didn't see that. And that was another scene. I was like, man, maybe that was just something they cut out. No, they didn't cut out. It's here. We're getting this stuff here. They're doing so. Even the promotional stuff that we're getting, I haven't seen a video over maybe a minute, unless it was a montage of clips, and that's what we're getting. So I would venture to say that is intentional, that is lending itself to the kind of kooky nature or the unreliable narrator that is Wanda and the way she's presenting this show to us. So I like that. So that is my favorite scene, is watching her and Monica kind of go at it. Because now I would like to know, and I don't know if it matters as much, but what is Monica's, from the time she got pulled into Westview, where's that change? How much control does Wanda have over these people? Like, are they dead? Are they people who live here or just innocent bystanders? Do they is she making them move and interact, or does she just are they in this like sleep state? I want to know. I want to know what is the extent of her Marvel Cinematic Universe powers, and um how will this come crumbling down? Because Vision says to her after he is a corpse and then she like reanimates him to look alive, he's like, man, we can go, we can leave, we don't have to be here. And she's like, no, this is our home, which tells me that they literally cannot leave. Like this pocket dimension, I'll say, that she's put into Westview is, this is home. Like, I'm assuming Vision maybe can't exist somewhere else, or maybe she doesn't want to rebuild somewhere else, because Westview looked like a sleepy town, like a small town, far enough away from like New York, but close enough that maybe you could end up there. It doesn't feel like it's close to any major metropolitan cities where it would, where if it went up in flames, which is a very extreme example, you would, it would make national news. I don't feel like that with Westview. So maybe it's like, look, man, this is where we are, and this is where we're gonna be. Also, something I want to ask about with you guys is with Vision. Let's see. Can you explain? Wanda put them paws on Monica. Yes, yes, John, she so did. Let's see, Anthony. Can you explain the blip timeline? I got confused by that part. She disappeared 5 years ago from her mom. Got cancer. Okay. So yeah, Shogun, Anthony. So with the blip, now what I'm assuming is we had the first snap from Thanos, and then we had the snap with the Hulk, which was, I believe, 5 years later, and then we had the snap with Tony Stark that brought everybody back. What I'm assuming happened is this is the last snap. That is what I'm assuming, that this is the last one. So her, apparently, with the doctor talking to Monica, the timeline is there is Maria had cancer in 1 year. She had the surgery. Her and Monica were together, and I want to say that snap probably was the first one. When we open this episode, it feels as if we are on the last snap. So now that we're in present day, Monica died 2 years ago. She beat cancer 3 years ago, and that was after Monica had been gone for 2 years. Oh, I feel like this is not clear enough. So again, I feel as if the snap happened. Maria, because I said Monica twice, my bad. Maria had cancer. She beat cancer. Then Monica left, and then 2 years later, she died. Oh, I feel like I'm still not explaining that well enough. Does that make sense? Was that clear to you? Let's see. And then we have, my favorite part was when the scene of Vision leaving the dome. Yes. Oh, I'm going to butcher your name, Leandas. And I'm gonna stop right there. Yes, that I like that as well. Seeing Vision leave, and Shogun, let me know if I explained that well enough. Seeing Vision leave, this feels like almost in the way that Lovecraft Country felt. If you guys have seen it, let me know. If you've seen it, those first 2 episodes, honestly, truthfully, felt like a full movie. Regardless if you like the rest of them, it felt like that was a contained movie, and that after that, the sky's the limit. That's kind of what this felt like too. Shit is shaking. I don't know what we're going to get next episode. I don't know, but those images of Vision, those images of really anybody, to me, leaving that dome, that feels kind of like Truman Show-ish, where oh, everybody's in on it but this one person, but it's in reverse now. Nobody's in on it but this one person. And you said you got it. Okay, thanks, Shogun. Cool. Yeah, so I really like this show. Clearly, obviously, but I really, really enjoy this show. Now, I'm not a Doctor Strange stan either. So, for those of you listening who are, maybe you can confirm or deny this. The character Dottie, so the one lady with the blonde hair that flipped up, the mean girl, Regina George type lady, she, what I've seen online is that she is a character named Clea. I'm not familiar with her, but I've seen some artwork, and the actress portraying Dottie, held up to the artwork that I've seen, does look like, that character as much as you can look like a comic book character. If you think that's the case, let me know, because I'd like to maybe do a little bit more research on Clea and see who she is, especially knowing that we're moving right into the multiverse of madness. Hey, it could be. Y'all know where my focus is. Pietro, bring him back. I forget who it was last episode who mentioned the Quicksilver from the Fox universe. So forgive me for forgetting your name, about him possibly being the Pietro in this new universe. And I saw a few videos where the that's been like a running theme. I think it was maybe on a Reddit thread or something, but that would be, I have been singing the praises of Fox as it pertains to the MCU, and not singing the praises, that's the wrong phrase, but I've wanted for those to be included in this multiverse so bad, not because I'm such a fan of the Fox films, but I feel like it's wasted opportunity if you don't find a way to incorporate both. We already know that there's a multiverse. This is as simple as saying everything that happened in Fox did happen in some offshoot universe that we don't even ever have to go back to again. But to get like the Quicksilver, maybe even the Jubilee from that franchise and bring them over, I feel like that's a seamless way, regardless of how they're going to introduce the mutants, to incorporate Fox without having to really acknowledge Fox. But if we were to resurrect Pietro and it's not the one from the MCU, but the one from the Fox universe, I would be okay with that. I mean, I'm confident Marvel would know what they're doing. Shit, bring them both back. Bring them back. So you got twins and you got twin uncles. Shoot. Now, overall, I thought this was a phenomenal episode, and I feel like it was probably, I would rate this as the best, but the best with the caveat that you have to watch the first three, that you have to get into those first three, that you have to, because again, going back to what I mentioned at the top of the episode, the guy online who said that, well, they could have played this first. Yeah, you could have played this one first. And honestly, I would even say, now that they're all out, I would watch this one and then go back and watch the first three. But I feel like it just don't hit the same without having the first three under your belt. That's me. Let me see. Maybe whatever happens in the multiverse movie brings the mutants in the current timeline. That's what I'm thinking as well. That's what I'm thinking. Thanks, Shogun. I'm thinking that because we have House of M and Avengers disassembled feels going on with this series and with the Vision series written by Tom King, I feel like that would just make the most sense. That would make the absolute most sense. Use the multiverse, bring in these mutants, and then with that, if you look at the Eternals, the history of the Eternals, kind of foreshadowing a future episode of Carefree Black Nerd podcast, there with cosmic energy being released in the Eternals, that like jump started their mutations, their superpowers. So that being said, who's to say that those three snaps that we got, one from Thanos, one from Hulk, and one from Tony Stark, that we don't get a jump that combined with the multiverse, get this like jump start of X genes all over the dang place. Like, man, I don't know, y'all can't tell I'm into this shit. So I will begin to wrap up here. All in all, great episode, great cinematography, great story. Great Easter eggs. The cast, everybody did what needed to be done. Even the extras with their little parts, like the guy who Daphne initially spoke with, who like didn't want to give her any information. Like, he had like a couple lines, but he did what he needed to do. Homeboy who was talking shit to Monica when she tried to log in at work, and he's like, she said, "Well, I work here." He said, "Well, if you work here, your badge will work." Sir, first of all, it's technology. It don't always work. your phone don't work everywhere. So there's that. I like that we're tying up a lot of loose ends, so to speak, from the first 3 episodes. I like that Wanda seems to be on autopilot, and it's almost as if just as much as everyone else is being controlled, she may be being controlled subconsciously. Because if you remember, or her subconscious may be in control, maybe that's a better way of saying it. When she threw Monica out of Westview and Vision came back in, her demeanor changed. Just like when she talked to Monica in the last episode and she mentioned Pietro, and then they got to singing that Sokovian lullaby, and a lot of her behavior, and I'm not a therapist, psychoanalyst, none of that, but a lot of her behavior, Elizabeth Olsen did a good job showing the range that Wanda has, if that makes sense. I'll leave it there. I think she did a really good job with portraying her in that episode specifically. Really, that's about it. Do you guys watching? Do you have anything else? Any predictions? Any questions, comments, concerns? Any critiques of the show? Being in episode 4, knowing that we're going to 9, we're at the midway mark. What's next? What are y'all even doing? Like, I'm looking forward to the Halloween episode just because I want to see Agnes in that car laughing her head off, talking about some, am I dead? And Vision says no, and she says, because you are. Let's talk about that for a second. This Vision, whoever's in the costume or makeup and hair department, like, kudos to you. Because one, Paul Bettany is getting covered in paint every episode, and it looks good. But that scene of him as a synthezoid corpse, I don't know if that'll come back, but if they did all that makeup and hair and stuff for that, like 2 or 3 seconds, I mean, y'all did that, because that was scary as shit. What else? I like that Monica, she has a look. Me and John were speaking about this earlier, about the wig situation going on when she was in Westview. When she was in Westview, Wanda made sure she had some looks. In the real world, I'm wondering if that's supposed to be like her natural hair, or really, which doesn't matter either way. I don't know. I like Daphne. I want to see more of her. I want to see her and Monica interacting. I want to see, I don't know, people entering Westview. I really just want to see this big fight that's finna happen next. Finna happen? Yeah, that's a fence to happen next. Yeah, so that's it. Well, y'all, this has been I had a WandaVision of love. Yeah, so thank you all for listening. Thank you guys who are watching live. Thank you for using that hashtag. This will be a every Friday thing at 6:30. So as you can see, I need a haircut. I'm trying to hide it with this hat and this hoodie, but I'm sacrificing haircuts for y'all. Y'all better watch this. But no, thank you seriously for tuning in. This will be uploaded onto the Carefree Black Nerd feed here on YouTube, as well as BYNK Radio's YouTube as well. Please check out the links in the show notes. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up on Twitter. Carefree Blurred is the handle. Hashtag IHAWVOL pod. Email me if you like, carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. And next Friday, it'll be the same thing. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, fan theories, bring them to this live recording, and then we'll see what it is. So until next time, guys, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, and please stay, I don't know, the hell out of Westview. That's gonna be the running theme. Stay away from Westview. And yeah, all right.